Hello, it is Monday, October the 29th, the year 2012, and as usual, sports fans, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Let's put a bow on the baseball season. The San Francisco Giants just sweep away the Detroit Tigers. Giants win the series 4-0, and the Giants, much the better team. They deserve to win this World Series. You kind of had a feeling when the Giants got to Verlander in Game 1 that the Tigers were going to have a tough time coming back because Verlander means so much to the Tigers, and the Tigers' bats just never got going. The Giants' pitching just shut them down. Even in the last series, the Tigers didn't really hit against the Yankees, but because the Yankees were so inept, the Tigers got through this series. This series was dominated by the San Francisco pitching. I mean, Zito, tremendous. Vogelsong, tremendous. Kane, tremendous. Bumgarner, tremendous. Lincecum out of the bullpen was great. The Giants' bullpen as a whole was lights out. I mean, from top to bottom, from pillar to post, the Giants were the better team. Giants have won 2 World Series in the last 3 years. They're building like a mini dynasty out there in the Bay Area. Tremendous job by them. Tremendous job by the front office. Sabian, the manager, Bochy. I mean, just great job by the Giants. Their fans deserve it. They're some of the best fans. It's a great baseball town. I mean, the Panda wins the MVP. He has 3 home runs in Game 1. He takes the MVP. Posey's a tremendous player. He's going to probably win the MVP for the whole year. What great pickups. Scudero and, Pence. 2 tremendous pickups there. The Giants' defense was great. From start to finish, pillar to post, the Giants deserve to win this World Series. And how about the comebacks the Giants had in these playoffs? They're down 2-0 to Cincinnati. They win 3 in a row there in Cincinnati to win that series. Then they're down 3-1 to St. Louis. They win 3 in a row there to win that series just to get to the World Series. So the Giants were resilient. Their pitching was great. The defense was good. The front office was good making moves. Giants definitely deserve to win the World Series. Much the better team here. I was hoping for a long series. We didn't get it. Congratulations to the Giants and their great fans out there. You guys deserve it. All right, let's move over to the NFL. Let's move over to the Week 8 recap. We have a lot of NFL games to get to. Let's get it going right now. First stop, Chicago, historic Soldier Field. Chicago Bears 23, Carolina Panthers 22. Bears go to 6-1. Carolina goes to 1-6. This is one of those cases, a good team finds a way to win, and a bad team finds a way to lose. Carolina controlled this game for 3 quarters. They outgained Chicago 416 to 210. They're up big going into the 4th quarter. They're up 19-7. They get outscored 16-3 in the 4th quarter. And the Bears, with a last-second field goal, clip the Panthers 23-22. A game the Panthers should never have lost. This all started in the 4th quarter. Carolina shanks a punt. The Bears score there. Then Cam Newton throws a bad interception to Jennings. They run it back for a touchdown. And from there, the Bears, got back into the game. And Carolina has to be kicking themselves for losing this game. This was a game they controlled most of the way. Their front was dominating the Chicago offensive line. And by the way, the Bear offensive line is going to be their undoing. The Bears have a nice team. They have a good defense. Cutler's good. They have Brandon Marshall as a receiver. They have good running backs. Their offensive line is shaky, and you saw it here yesterday. This was a game the Bears should have never won, and Carolina should have never lost. It's going to be a long year for Carolina. What can I tell you? They're 1-6. They've been playing a little better the last couple of weeks, but they totally blew this game, and Chicago escapes, and their offensive line, big question mark as we go forward, so we'll keep an eye on that. Next week, Chicago at Tennessee, Carolina at Washington. All right, let's move over to Cleveland and the Dog Pound in a rainy, windy, sloppy game in Cleveland. Cleveland 7, San Diego 6. Cleveland goes to 2-6. San Diego now lost 3 in a row. They're 3-4. What's going on with the Chargers? The Chargers can't beat Cleveland. I know the conditions were horrible, but you have to find a way to beat Cleveland. Cleveland had 1 win coming into this game. Phillip Rivers, you have to put your team on your back and find a way to win. I'll tell you, it's getting late early for San Diego. They've now lost 3 in a row. North Turner, how much longer can they go with North Turner? How much longer do you go with the same team? Year after year after year, game after game after game, San Diego disappoints. They did it again yesterday. They couldn't score more than 6 points. They couldn't get into the end zone. A terrible, atrocious loss by San Diego. Cleveland, playing better as of recently. Richardson, a nice day on the ground, 122 yards rushing. He looks pretty good. But this is all on San Diego. A terrible performance. San Diego at home Thursday night against Kansas City. San Diego can't win that game. Back up the truck. I mean, come on. You have to beat Kansas City at home. We'll get into that game later in the week. Cleveland at home against Baltimore. So nice job by Cleveland. Terrible job by San Diego. Let's move on to Detroit. Detroit at home beats Seattle 28-24. Detroit goes to 3-4. Seattle drops to 4-4. This was a game Detroit had to have, and they got it. I mean, Stafford played well, 352 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Titus Young, 9 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He looks like now he could be a compliment to Calvin Johnson. You're always looking for that compliment. Calvin Johnson is a great receiver there in Detroit, but for years they haven't had anyone to really compliment him. Titus Young looks like he could be that guy. Pettigrew, the tight end, played well. Broyles, the other young receiver, he also played well. This is a game that the Detroit offense won and the Seattle defense lost. Seattle's defense has been great all year. Not yesterday. Seattle comes down the field. They take the lead. Wilson had a nice game quarterbacking for Seattle, and the Seattle defense could not hold the lead. They let Detroit come down the field and score at the end of the game. This game was on the Seattle defense, and we haven't said that much, if at all, this year. Most of the games Seattle's lost, I blame their offense. I do not blame their offense or the quarterback Wilson. They both, they played well. The offense did enough to win this game. This was on the defense. I mean, Detroit did whatever they wanted on offense here. So this was on Seattle's defense. And again, can Seattle win a big game on the road? We know they're great at home. Can they win a big game on the road? And Detroit, this was a must-win. They got it. They still have work to do, Detroit. They still have a lot of holes. I mean, they were down for a lot of this game. They do get the win. Nice job by them. Detroit at Jacksonville next week. Winnable game. Seattle goes back to the friendly confines of their home stadium. They will host Minnesota next week. So nice job by Detroit. Seattle, bad defense yesterday. And can they win on the road? We'll keep an eye on that. All right, let's move over to historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Green Bay 24, Jacksonville 15. Ho-hum performance. Green Bay goes to 5-3. Jacksonville goes to 1-6. It's funny. Jacksonville had, the better of the play for a lot of this game. Gabbert, who played hurt, played well. No Jones-Drew. Green Bay playing with a lot of injuries. Jennings is out. You have Woodson out. Green Bay didn't look great yesterday. They looked spotty. Rodgers fumbles at the end of the first half. Then they run, this, trick play in the third quarter. That backfires on them. Green Bay does do enough to win. They're just more talented than Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not any good. Not impressed with Green Bay yesterday. There's still something a little missing from them. Every time you think they're going to, get really on a roll, they come up with one of these performances. They do get the win. They are 5-3. I don't want to go too crazy on it. Didn't look great yesterday. Jacksonville actually, had a lot of chances to, do some things in this game. Green Bay next week home for Arizona. Jacksonville home for Detroit. Jacksonville, you saw signs yesterday. It's going to be a long year for them. And Green Bay's still a little spotty, so we'll keep an eye on them. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Tennessee. Indianapolis Colts 19. Tennessee 13. In overtime, Colts go to 4-3 unbelievably. Bad loss for Tennessee. They go to 3-5. It's funny, after watching this game, you sat there and said, how did Tennessee lose this game? Tennessee's up 13-6. The Colts, score late in the game. It's just amazing that Tennessee let this game get out of hand here. So the Colts scored, to tie the game up at 13. Tennessee, in the closing moments of the game, they come down the field. They're in Colt territory. They throw a pass across the middle. Guy is wide open down the middle of the field. Hasselbeck overthrows him. From there, Tennessee decides to punt instead of kick a 58-yard field goal. Colts end up running out the clock. From there, we go to overtime. Tennessee never cedes the ball. Colts get the ball. They, throw a deep pass, and they score a touchdown on a great acrobatic play by the Colts, who, do a backflip in the end zone. Just unbelievable play by them. So the Colts, 4-3, just a tremendous job by them. The Colts home next week against Miami in just a big game. Believe it or not, it's a very big game next week. Who would ever think Colts and Miami would be a big game? Tennessee home for Chicago next week. Bad loss for Tennessee. They should have never lost this game. I'm still scratching my head on how they did lose the game. They did. They're 3-5. Could be a long way back for Tennessee. All right, let's go over to the London game. New England Patriots 45, St. Louis Rams 7. New England goes to 5-3, St. Louis 3-5. I kind of had a feeling New England was going to be able to handle St. Louis. They did. St. Louis scored early. After that, all New England, they outscored them 45-0. I mean, Brady with a nice game. Gronkowski with a huge game. 8 receptions for 146 yards receiving. 2 touchdowns. Just a great job by Gronkowski. New England from start to finish here. I mean, New England looked really good. This is one of the few teams I think New England could handle as far as on defense. New England's got a shaky defense. Rams don't have a big offense, so nice job by New England here. Both teams on a bye next week. Rams starting to go the other way now. They're 3-5. Keep an eye on that. New England 5-3. I still think they have some question marks. Let's move on. Let's move on to New York, the Meadowlands. Miami 30. The Jets 9. Miami goes to 4-3. The Jets drop to 3-5. Jets do a lot of talking during the week, and Miami just manhandled them. This was a game that was over early. I mean, Tannehill gets hurt early in the game, no problem for Miami. Moore comes in, he looks pretty good. Miami gets a blocked punt, gets a blocked field goal, and gets an onside kick in the same game. Jets, as usual, lost. Sanchez lost. I don't want to hear any more about Tebow. He can't play either. I mean, Rex Ryan's got a big mouth. It's almost time to look at him being replaced. The Jets, all they do is talk, and they can't back it up. Miami with a tremendous win. I mean, just goes into the Meadowlands and beats the Jets up. This game was never close, never interesting. 30-9 and just an absolute beating. Miami next week, like I said, at Indianapolis. Very big game. And the Jets have an off week. And Rex Ryan, how about Rex Ryan? He's going to give the Jets off this week. That's the reward for playing such a big game. You know, the Jets lose 39. Oh, let's give them off this week. Jets, all sorts of problems. They're going nowhere fast at 3-5. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Philadelphia. The Atlanta Falcons beat the Eagles 30-17. Falcons go to 7-0. Eagles drop to 3-4. I mean, just another terrible performance by the Eagles. They look lost. They changed defensive coordinators 2 weeks ago. No difference. Now they're thinking about changing, making a quarterback change and getting Vic out of there. How about Andy Reid take some of the responsibility here? When are we going to make a change at coaching? I mean, Andy Reid makes the defensive coaching change last year, which was a terrible move, hiring a guy that was on the offensive side of the ball to coach the defense. Then 2 weeks ago, he replaces him. Now he's thinking about changing the quarterbacks and going with a rookie in place of Vic. Come on, Andy Reid really needs to get it together. I mean, the Falcons just demolished the Eagles yesterday. This game was not close at all. Matt Ryan, great. Julio Jones open all over the field. The Eagle defense can't stop anyone. Falcons go to 7-0, look like one of the best teams in the NFL. Eagles drop to 3-4. Eagles at the Saints next Monday night. Oh, good grief. And Dallas at Atlanta, next Sunday night. So great job by Atlanta. Terrible job by Philadelphia from start to finish. All right, let's move on to the Thursday night game. Tampa Bay beat Minnesota 36-17. Tampa Bay went to 3-4. Minnesota dropped to 5-3. Tampa Bay finally got a win for all their efforts. Tampa Bay's been in every game this year and has not much to show for it. Minnesota finally turned into a pumpkin. We were wondering when they would. They did. Now watch Minnesota go the other way. They have a tough schedule. They lost here. They look bad doing it. Watch Minnesota start to lose a lot of games the second half of the year. Have a very, very tough schedule. They're doing a nice job as far as they're 5-3 the first half of the year. They're going to go the other way now fast. Tampa Bay looks really good. Freeman, another nice game. How about Martin, the running back? He looks great. 24 carries, 135 yards, and a touchdown. So tremendous job by Tampa Bay in this game. They just blow out Minnesota. Like I said, look for Minnesota to start piling up the losses now. Tampa Bay, very competitive. Nice job by Shiano. Minnesota at Seattle next week. Very tough game for them. Tampa Bay at Oakland. Tampa Bay showing signs. All right, let's move on to Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Steelers just demolished the Washington Redskins. Steelers 27, Washington 12. This was all Pittsburgh from start to finish. Steelers go to 4-3. Washington drops to 3-5. Complete game for the Steelers. You've been waiting for a complete game. You got it on both sides of the ball. They were good offensively, good defensively. You'd like to see Palomalo back. They dominated on both sides of the ball. They shut Robert Griffin down. They contained him. Just a nice win for the Steelers. Look for the Steelers now to really start playing some good football. They should be a playoff team. They can even challenge Baltimore for the division. Pittsburgh at the Giants next week. Washington home for Carolina. Washington's 3-5. I mean, Robert Griffin's done a nice job keeping them competitive. They just need a lot on both sides of the ball. They have no defense, no offensive line. They have a tremendous amount of weapons. So Washington needs work, but they do have the quarterback of the future. So the future is bright for Washington. This year, they're not going to have a great record. So nice job by the Steelers here. All right, let's move on to Kansas City. Oakland 26, Kansas City 16. Oakland goes to 3-4. Kansas City drops to 1-6. More of the same from Kansas City. Turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. They have Quinn starting at quarterback in place of Castle. Quinn goes out with an injury. Castle comes in. No difference. Same stuff. Castle an interception here, a fumble there. Kansas City, the most disappointing team in the league. Romeo Crennel, awful job. Kansas City defense horrendous. Offensive line horrendous. Receivers horrendous. Quarterbacks horrendous. Everything about Kansas City horrendous. Nice job by Oakland. That's their second win in a row. They are showing signs of life. They've beaten the Steelers this year. They've won 2 in a row. They could have beaten Atlanta. They played them tough. Oakland showing signs of life. Palmer played well yesterday. Nice job by Oakland. Oakland at home against Tampa Bay next week. Kansas City at San Diego on the Thursday night. Kansas City, the most disappointing team in the league as far as I'm concerned. Awful, awful, awful job by the Chiefs. Just awful, just despicable job by them. I can't even talk about them anymore. Let's move on to the Sunday night game last night. Denver 34, New Orleans 14. Denver goes to 4-3. New Orleans drops to 2-5. Denver at Cincinnati next week. New Orleans home for Philadelphia on the Monday night. This game was just all about the Denver offense. Denver offense, 533 yards of total offense. Manning did whatever he wanted. 22 for 30, 305, 3 touchdowns. They held Breeze on the defensive end to 213 yards passing. McGahee 122 yards rushing. Thomas 137 yards receiving. I said the Saints were not back. They had won 2 in a row. People were trying to get back on their bandwagon. This is not going to be the Saints year. They can't stop anyone. You saw it last night. Denver did whatever they wanted on offense. Saints cannot stop anyone. Even Drew Brees didn't play well last night. It's going to be a long year for the Saints. This is a year to forget for them with the whole bounty thing, with the coach being suspended. Defense is horrendous. The Saints just need to regroup and get back to football next year. It's going to be a long year for them. Defense is terrible. Denver now in the hunt. They're in first place in their division. Denver has a chance to do some nice things. We'll keep an eye on them. Like I said, Denver at Cincinnati next week. New Orleans home for Philadelphia on Monday night. The Giants, let's go to the Giant-Dallas game in Dallas. Giants 29, Dallas 24. Giants go to 6-2, first place in the division. Dallas drops to 3-4. Giants were up 23-0. Then Dallas scores 24 in a row to go up 24-23. Giants go up 29-24. Dallas comes down the field at one of the last plays of the game. Romo throws the ball to Dez Bryant. Looks like he catches it. They rule it, a touchdown. They look at it on replay. His hand did hit out of bounds. Good call. They take the touchdown away. From there, Romo throws the ball out of bounds with no time left. So the Giants escape. Dallas did have a nice comeback. Witten had a tremendous game, set a record, 18 receptions, 167 yards. I mean, Dallas had 434 yards, the Giants 293. Romo, a lot of yards passing. Here's the problem with Dallas again. Romo had 4 turnovers, and Dallas had 6 turnovers. You cannot win any game when you turn the ball over 6 times. And Romo, he had nice numbers as far as passing. He can't turn the ball over 4 times. Giants escape. The Giants, again, they play 4 games within a game. They look great. They look bad. They look okay. They have a big lead. They blow it. But in the end, the Giants get the win, and in the end, Dallas loses. That's the story of these two teams. In the end, the Giants find a way to win, and Dallas finds a way to lose. Giants home next week against Pittsburgh. Interesting game. We'll get to that later in the week. Dallas at Atlanta. I don't know what to think of Dallas. I mean, I think they need a coaching change. I don't think Garrett is the right coach for this team, but we'll see if they make a change at the end of the year. So Giants get the win there. Tonight, of course, we have the big Monday night game, San Francisco at Arizona. A couple college games I want to get to. Alabama remains number 1. They stay undefeated. They beat Mississippi State 38-7. Alabama, of course, at LSU this week. We will get to that game later in the week. Georgia with a tremendous win in the largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville. Georgia 17, Florida 9. Georgia keeps their season alive. They are in the driver's seat in the SEC East. They control their own destiny. I mean, Gators with 6 turnovers. The Gators just handed this game to Georgia. I mean, just a tremendous job by Jarvis Jones, the Georgia defender, all over the field. 13 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Georgia played a tough game. I give them credit. They finally win this game. They win it 2 years in a row finally. Nice job by Georgia and Florida. You know, we were wondering when they had to pass the ball if they were going to win, and they really struggled when they got behind and they had to pass the ball, and 6 turnovers. Terrible job by Florida in this game. Also, Kansas State at home, they beat Texas Tech 55-14. Klein, again, the Heisman favorite, looked good. Kansas State goes up to number 2 in the BCS. They're still undefeated. They look like a really solid team. Schneider doing a tremendous job with them. They're a definite national championship contender, although their schedule is going to hurt. They don't play a title game in the Big 12 this year. That's also going to hurt. We'll keep an eye on Kansas State. How about Notre Dame? Notre Dame goes into Oklahoma, beats Oklahoma 30-13. Notre Dame goes all the way up to 3 in the polls. Just a tremendous job by them. Manti Te'o, another interception for him. He is definitely a Heisman candidate as well. Oklahoma, what's wrong with them? They used to never lose in Norman. That's 3 home losses in the last 2 years for them. 2 home losses this year. I mean, just a tremendous job by Notre Dame again. A tremendous job by their defense again. And a terrible job by Oklahoma. I mean, I thought Oklahoma would be a much better team than this. I thought they were peaking right at the right time. They do not get the job done here at home. And Notre Dame, you cannot say enough about the tremendous job they've done here. Tremendous job in all phases, special teams, the offense, the defense, the quarterback looked good. Great win by Notre Dame here. We'll keep an eye on them. They host Pittsburgh this week. South Carolina beats Tennessee, but the big story is Lattimore dislocates his knee. As you remember, he tore his ACL last year. Now he hurts his other knee. He dislocates his knee. Don't know if he's going to be back next year. He could redshirt and play the year after that, or he may be able to come back next year. We're keeping our fingers crossed for Lattimore. We all like him. Very likable kid, great player. We hope to see him back on the field real soon. A couple other games I want to get to. Kent State beats Rutgers. Rutgers no longer undefeated, so that destroys Rutgers' perfect season. Louisville does stay undefeated, so nice job by them. How about this game? Arizona 39, USC 36. I mean, USC loses for the 2nd time this year. They're out of the national championship hunt. It destroys the game this week against Oregon. That was going to be a huge game. Now that's taken a lot of luster off this game. Rich Rodriguez, nice job, but with this Arizona team, I mean, terrible loss by USC here. You can't lose to Arizona. I mean, Arizona has no defense whatsoever. And speaking of no defense, where's USC's defense this year? Arizona did whatever they wanted on offense. So a nice win for Rich Rodriguez in Arizona and a terrible loss for Lane Kiffman in USC. And it really destroys the game against Oregon this week because Oregon is undefeated, but USC now has 2 losses. They're out of the national championship hunt. So terrible job by USC here. Washington, like I thought, was going to give Oregon State all sorts of problems. Washington State at home beats Oregon State 20-17. A big upset there. Oregon State now not unbeaten, so that also hurts Oregon as far as, you know, their strength of schedule, because now USC has lost twice and Oregon State has lost. So Oregon, they're getting some bad breaks as far as the polls with all these teams around them losing. Ohio State beats Penn State. They pull away at the end. How about, I want to give a big thumbs down to South Florida and Skip Holtz, the son of Lou Holtz. South Florida has had a nice program for years. They started off 2-0 this year. They beat Nevada this year, the 2nd game of the year, and a great comeback out there in Nevada. You think they're going to have a big season. South Florida has lost 6 games in a row, and they just lost to Syracuse at home. Terrible job by Skip Holtz. Terrible job by South Florida. They're better than 2-6, so I wanted to mention that. All right, so tonight you guys have the Monday night game, San Francisco at Arizona. Tomorrow we're going to do the NBA preview. Believe it or not, the NBA starts this week. Wednesday, all the college football picks. Thursday, wall-to-wall NFL. You guys stay safe. On the East Coast here, we're going through a hurricane, a tropical storm. You guys stay safe out there. I mean, if you have to go out. If not, stay indoors and let's ride out the storm. It should be gone by Tuesday, so if you're on the East Coast, definitely stay safe. I will be back with you guys tomorrow. We will talk about the Monday Night Football game and everything else going on in the sports world. You guys stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.